effect, I think.
And not just comedic effect, but like it covered our asses because we had to do one take with like 400 people a few times.
Yes,
you couldn't see them well enough to see them fucking.
Yes, you couldn't see. Yeah, there was constantly people blowing it in the background. But yeah, it was, and then we wrote to it once we decided to do it, which was like very early in pre-production, like right when we hired Adam. We really went through every script and we're like, we need to make sure every scene like really can support this style, basically.
Oh, that was like, because I remember like I was writing down questions while watching it. I was like, dang, how many takes was that first scene? And I was like, oh, they did that for every single scene. I mean, how many takes on average do you think it was for each scene?
The average was between 12 and 16. At first it was like 26 as we were finding our sea legs.
16 became like the magic number where like we often had it at around the 16th take, and the wave would for sure crest. Like there's a moment
worse.
You would get worse. It would get better, then it would be good. And for the first few takes, we would always look at each other and be like, "This might never happen. like we'll never do this," because we didn't rehearse. Like there was no. It's not like when you're shooting a television show, you get like weeks to rehearse. Like, it's like when you're shooting Birdman, they're like rehearsing for like a month, you know what I mean? Like, we didn't get that at all. So we would show up on the day and me and Evan would have blocked a lot of the scenes if there was a lot of movement beforehand, but
we would read it usually just the three of us.
Yeah, we would walk through, and because the timing and it was very important and just making sure we understood how much distance we were covering and the various scenes, and then. But for the scenes that were sort of like that conference room Buscemi scene, as an example, that we didn't block because it's pretty much, and the scene where I'm explaining Kool-Aid, scenes like that, we didn't really block because we didn't know what the actors would want to do, and there's so many people involved, like it just seemed very complicated to really predetermine that. So we would rehearse for hours sometimes and really meticulously block the scene, and our camera operator, Mark Golonacht, who was like a fucking as integral to the filming of the show as anyone, and he shot every scene and he would learn every beat of every scene. And he was like, and he would literally memorize every beat of every scene, and we would be like, hold on me for a split second longer, and then when you pan to her, pan a little faster, and then get a little wider, and then push it on her, she's saying it, and then pan off her a little quicker. And like, we would give him notes that were that specific on a take-to-take basis. So by the end of it, he was remembering like 100 things per scene, basically, and what was it? Yeah, it was remarkable.
He also could like call breaks. Straight up. He'd just be like, we need a 15-minute break, and we would just stop.
He's also like the biggest, strongest man I've ever seen in my entire life. And I remember...
But no matter how big and strong you are, it's a lot.
Yes.
16 times.
And a few days we would do, like, he wasn't there a couple days yet, food poisoning, and we would just see how big and strong he was when a normal human would try to recreate what he was doing. And I remember, like, we told Adam, like, it's the first time in our careers we really want to like interview the camera operator and get to know him and make sure he's like in tune with what we're doing. And I just remember seeing him for the first time and being like, he can do it. And he made it look easy. Like it was truly like, if it wasn't him, the show would not have been achievable.
And that's also another shout out to Adam, because we said, who's going to be the camera operator?
Yeah.
He was like, there's a guy.
And Mark, the camera operator, actually was an actor. Like, started as an actor when he was young, and I genuinely think that helped the shooting of the show, because he truly understood like the rhythms of the scenes, the story of the scenes, and like he could not have served the jokes more and the timing more. Like, it was really... Like again, we would sing his praises all day long, and every day we would be like, dude, like, it's remarkable what you are doing here. And the amount of things he was able to retain was like miraculous.
It was also nice as directors when he would be like, give me one more, I can do it better.
Oh yeah, everyone got really invested in it, and they were all very open to being like, like it feels too rigid, it feels too stiff. Like we have it, but we don't have like a funny version of it. We don't have like because that's the danger with this kind of filming is like it gets a little rigid, you know. Everyone's so focused on hitting their marks and saying their thing at the right time, and it helps having a cast who's literally incapable of saying the same thing twice, generally speaking. And even though we could not express how high stakes it was, they would improvise constantly, you know. And we would say to them like, you can improvise, but if it's bad, it's ruined everything that's come before it, basically. So only do it if you really think it's good. And they would, and like they were pretty good gauges of when to do it and when not to do it.
Did you get in rhythm throughout the season? Did it get faster? Did it get better? Did it get easier?
We got better at it, right?
I'd like to think so. Yeah, no, it started at like 26 takes, which was maddening, and 16 was crazy, but enough.
And then by the end, there were some we were doing like 11, like 10, 6 or 7. You know what I mean?
Always the first like 4, 5, 6 were shit.
But then we started shooting the show on stage, where you built the set, the office where the Continental Studios is, but then we would go out on location, and then it's different. You're out in the elements, and you're dealing with like a location that you haven't been to, and all of that. So.
Dealing with cars, attaching the camera to vehicles, and it's just like a rigging challenge at times. Literally, like hooking the camera up to the car.
But these new the magnetic latch on camera, I don't know what it's called. There's a magnet they got now.
Yeah.
Everyone get this magnet.
Got this magnet, guys. It's amazing, this magnet.
Anyone know what the magnet thing is?
Is it Aperture MCs? Did you guys get to pull off a one take in any of the episodes?
What do you mean?
Like a one take, like a first try, like a first
No!
try.
No.
Out of your minds.
No. Because the timing is so specific. It's so, you know, it's comedic. And our editor is on set with us all day, every day, basically like live editing, being like, if I was editing this, I would suck the air out of this moment. If I was editing this, I would probably remove this line. If I was editing this, I would not have this long a pause here. And we would then enact it in the scene. So we would do it, again, 4 or 5 times before we even got a sense of like what the scene kind of should be. Again, because we're not rehearsing. We're kind of doing it on camera, like bringing it to life, basically.
I did think it would happen eventually, but I was wrong.
No.
It never even came
Apple
close to
TV,
happening.
room for next season.
Well,
Apple
basically,
TV.
also, like, the more people there are at the scenes, there's some scenes where it's just me. Those, by the second or third take, it's like getting there. But if there's like 7 or 8 people, and there's an episode set at the Golden Globes where there's literally 400 people in every shot, that's very hard. And so many things are at play from especially a timing perspective. And there's some shots that like start in a car and get out of the car and walk through a red carpet and enter a building and go in an elevator and go up there. And like that, it's like so many things need to go right that the first few takes, again, generally the feeling is like, we've made a mistake. We should not have shot the show this way. This is the scene that will like break this formula, and we'll never get it. And what Adam would always say, our DP, is like, you'd always be like, it sucks until it doesn't. And that was always like a good thing to keep in mind. Is like, it really sucked. And then one take would happen where you're like, it's gonna happen. It's gonna work.
Yeah, I thought it paid off incredibly well in that palm tree vista sequence where you rounded the pool and all came around. Catherine O'Hara was just magical all around.
We got a real rainbow in that shot.
We got a real rainbow, and that was and there's magic like that happens when you're shooting like this. Where like it was raining all day, and for like 12 of the takes, it was just a shitty, miserable day out, and we were getting rained on, and we like went inside for a few minutes, and then like all of a sudden the clouds broke and there was a rainbow. We were like, let's go shoot now. Like
with you starring and co-directing it, how often are you looking at playback, or do you kind of just be like, all right, if they say we got it, Seth, you go up and then go back and watch the playback?
Not every time.
Okay.
Right? I would try. I'm trusting. I feel like.
Yeah, sometimes we just run out of time and he literally can't get there and back in time.
Yeah, and the takes are long, so it's like sometimes the takes are 6, 7, 8 minutes long. So it's like if you accumulate all the time where I'm watching, if we do 10 takes and I watch 10 takes, that's like 80 minutes, you know? Like, so I can't do that. Like, we can't just have everyone standing around. I'll watch some to be able to give notes on the camera movement and stuff like that, and as we block it, but there's a point where And again, I think because it's one lens, I'm hyper aware as we're filming the scenes of what is being captured and what's in the frame.
And a weird thing
Yeah.
is not just him, but everyone becomes hyper aware of that.
Yeah.
Like the script coordinator, literally, like the VFX, every single person can kind of picture the frame every
Yeah,
single
so
time.
I can see if someone's not on camera when they're supposed to be, or if it's too tight or too wide, and I can just tell, like, oh, he's standing too close to me this take, like, this isn't gonna work, or like, oh, he didn't pan in time to catch that line, like, this isn't gonna work. So I could see it kind of as it was playing out. Yeah.
So I have a morbid meta curiosity about the note process of this show.
Yeah.
You're roasting studio executives in a way here that must be really challenging to address notes while you're making a show. Is any of that weird?
We were in their heads for sure.
It was the most obvious. Everything you think happened. It was the most meta, hilarious thing.
Yeah.
They were giving us notes on the note while we're making the note, and the note's the same note as the note.
Yeah.
It all happened.
Was it
Yeah.
like, all right, guys, we're not that mean? Was it like,
Yeah.
For sure. At the next episode, I think you guys are watching the note after this.
Or no, the Oner,
The
right?
one,
Yeah.
excuse me, that there, and that's like the set visit one, and so when they came to set, they're just like, oh, this is so awkward, and what are we doing?
Yeah, there's a whole, as you will see quickly in this next episode, like a big joke is no one wants the studio executives on set visiting, and when they do come, you kind of give them their own little video village, and you like cast them away from the action, which is a joke in the episode. And then when they came to visit our set, every time we would give them their own little video village and cast them away from the process, and they were like, "We see what you're doing." We're like, "It's real. I don't know what to tell you. It's real. It's a real thing."
Well,
But they let us do what we want.
Exactly, they did let us do.
They let us do whatever we want.
They were lovely to us. Ultimately, we didn't tell them we were going to shoot the show this way. Also, we just did it and kind of crossed our fingers and like prayed that by the time they saw the dailies, it would be okay. But that was also a big swing we took.
So I have to break dinner. We're not going to watch the second episode here.
Oh, never mind. You'll watch it on
I knew
Apple
that.
TV
But
Plus.
I knew that,
That's
and
a
I was
good-
watching you guys say,
No, no.
But Apple
Never
TV
mind.
just gained a few.
Comes out
few
so
minutes to
soon.
strike.
Come out next week.
Yeah.
It's worth watching. Please tune in.
Yeah.
Okay, so I once had dinner next to Seth. I was very fortunate to have dinner next to Seth. And
Where's this going here?
And there are two things that I remember
Hibachi?
about the night. Hibachi.
Yeah.
Our mutual friend had a big birthday party,
Yeah.
and it was in the height of COVID.
It was.
And the hibachi chef was flipping shrimp
Yeah.
up in the air to the guests, and I'm like a Blue Man Group person. I love to catch things in my mouth, I was just in your space a lot. And the next night I was watching the Globes, and Seth was on television making a remark about the hermetically sealed tent.
Oh, yeah.
And the COVID protocols that were obviously being broken. And I just want to apologize. This is one thing of the night. I just want to apologize for my social distancing.
No, not at
that
all.
night.
I felt good about it.
It was a very fun night.
It was a good night.
So the second
The
thing,
whole event is about you apologizing to Seth.
yeah, it is.
I was waiting. That's why I came here. I was waiting for that. Yeah.
It's done, everybody.
I wanted not just I wanted a very public apology for that.
Thank you all for being here for that.
Thank you.
So the second thing I remember about the night is very relevant right now. If that wasn't. That was like 3 or 4 years ago. And the thing you highlighted for me.
Another thing that night is I
Yes.
thought I microdosed shrooms, but ate too much. And I remember telling you, like, I think I ate too many shrooms.
I wasn't gonna say.
I thought that was going to be the second thing you said. I remember going to my wife, Florida, being like, I got to tell this guy about shrooms because I'm going to be talking to him all night, and like, I'm not normal right now. And so I came clean to you early in the evening. It was like, I thought I took less than I did. So you are now sitting next to a man on shrooms.
On that note, I remember a very polite and eloquent
Yes.
dining.
So I owe you a public apology as well.
I'll take it. No, the other thing I remember about the night, you shoot in LA and you advocate to shoot in LA.
Yeah.
And you've been that way for a long time. You are staying in LA before staying in LA was a big thing, and I think there might be staying in LA representatives here tonight. I just wanted to ask you all, like,
What do you think about the state of things right now in Los Angeles?
We should make fucking TV and movies here.
Yeah, I mean,
Much as we should make some stuff here.
yeah, I mean, part of the conceit of the show was we wanted to make something that had to be filmed in Los Angeles.
They literally could not make a shoot this anywhere else.
Exactly, and we wrote it in such a way that it was like anchored in the iconography of Los Angeles. And I'd say actually weirdly one of our biggest inspirations for the show was this documentary that Frida Perez, who's one of the writers and the creators, was obsessed with, called Los Angeles Plays Itself. And that documentary is incredible if you haven't seen it, Los Angeles Plays Itself, but it's all about how cinema has like captured Los Angeles' history and architectural greatness and its landmarks kind of throughout the years, and offers like one of the best historical views of Los Angeles. And if you love Los Angeles, it's beautiful. If you love movies, it's also beautiful. And as we were making the show, there was like a very deliberate effort on our part to kind of capture what we find to be beautiful about the city. And there's these amazing houses and amazing architecture, and there's a whole episode at the Chateau Marmont and at the Beverly Hilton, and that's a John Lautner house. And we shoot in other John Lautner houses and these amazing homes. And also one of the jokes is like, as me and Evan were writing the show initially, we were like, a big part of our experience in Hollywood is being in these like beautiful, beautiful places, just having the stupidest arguments of all time. And that was something that we really wanted to represent at the show. And it is also like, films, the whole movie industry is only like 100 years old. And so, it's like when this was, I remember this is a very name-droppy story, but I was at 30 Rock at Lord Mike, I was hosting Saturday Night Live at I was like, 30 Rock's an amazing building. And Lorne Michaels, in his way, was like, well, when any industry is new, they build cathedrals for it. And I was always like, oh, that's cool. And he's like NBC, like this building is a cathedral to television, and television was new, so they built this. And that's what LA has for movies, is like, movies were new here, and they built these amazing buildings, and the studios are beautiful, and they really are these like amazing architects contribute, and they're cool places to work. Like there's a magic to them, and we wanted to also capture the magic of like being on a lot where you see it. It is like, and we do it a lot throughout the show. It's like, you'll walk down one street and there's fucking aliens walking down the street, and you turn the corner and there's cowboys, and you turn the corner, and I remember we were making Pineapple Express, they were making some crazy fucking vampire movie next door.
Called Priest.
Yeah, they were making Priest.
They're making the movie Priest.
With Paul Bettany.
And
Yeah.
we saw demons that were just Russian guys smoking cigarettes.
Yeah, we would, and we smoked it. We'd always go outside and smoke next to these like weird vampire monsters, and like that was like magical to us in a weird way. And so that was something we wanted to capture. It's like we love. It is like I think it's cynical of the industry in some ways, but I hope it's clear that it's made by people who genuinely like love the movies and love the magic of Hollywood, and hope that it's able to live up to its potential, but it really is like, a love letter in many ways to the city, yeah.
I mean, it absolutely shows in Continental and how the studio was designed and all of it. Was it a location?
No, that's a set.
Set.
Yeah, it's a big ass set.
Feels like a cathedral.
Yes.
We also heard about like how, despite being this far in your career, it was pretty challenging for you guys to get this project greenlit. Could you talk about that?
It wasn't that hard.
Yeah, there's been harder.
Yeah.
It went okay.
How often you guys come across like an executive that was like the real life Bryan Cranston character, and you're like, oh god,
All
he's
the
gonna-
time.
All the time, yeah.
Earlier today.
Yeah, literally.
Today, 11:30 today.
Today,
11:30
this
to
morning.
12:30.
Yeah, I think like the way there's like movie people, and there's people who work in the movie industry who don't actually love movies, and those are the people who are scary and dangerous. And I think that's who he represents. It's like there's people who understand movies and understand the industry and understand the nuance of it, but they don't actually give a shit if they're making something good or bad. And a lot of the studio heads actually do, and that's what's comedic, is they're forced not to, and to ruin movies actually often, But some people, like Cranston's guy, who are people we Michael Linton, he was one, I guess, who ran Sony, an objectively not great guy.
It's in the book. It's
yeah.
not news.
But he didn't give a shit about movies, you know what I mean? So he was like a scary guy to interact with, because you're like, he kind of runs this whole thing, and at the end of the day, he doesn't care if the movie's good or bad. He just wants it to, you know, he wants to mitigate his risk and make defensible choices, you know?
And then I think what we love about the show is that then there are people like Matt's character who are sort of caught between their love of the movies and the fact that they want to keep their job, and that's a real thing that we see all the time. Is these people love movies, they want to do something, you know, that they can be proud of, and they want to not get fired, and that's a real conflict that felt like a very, very good source of drama like every episode.
What was it like wrangling all of your friends, all of the people in your life who you've worked with to come in and play in the sandbox?
We wrangled all our friends in previous projects.
Yeah, we wrangled all our friends in 2013.
Yeah, and they're done being wrangled.
Yeah, our friends are done.
Low
Yeah.
prices. We had to find all new people.
We don't know any of these people.
It was like a whole other job. It was honestly maybe the hardest part of the whole thing.
Yeah, and you'll see as the show goes on, like pretty much, I think every single episode has several very large, and they're not even cameos, they're like roles in the episode.
And
They're
every
like,
single one of them we had to go to, have a long conversation with, rewrite it, bring it back. A few times people said no, then we had to rewrite it, and then a few times we had to rewrite it. And most people said yes, but even then it was still like a process every time.
Yeah, basically every day at lunch we were like on a Zoom or a call with one of the like cameos in the show, just getting their notes and thoughts and rewriting the episodes. And but yeah, it was, but you know, yeah, like we mostly, like I've never met Martin Scorsese before this, you know what I mean? Like on set was literally like one of like the third time I'd seen him in real life. Like so yeah, we actually found that these days, weirdly, it's almost easier to get people we aren't friends with.
Marty went in. Yeah. Marty went in here. It was amazing. Can we open it up to some audience?
Of course, please, yes.
I mean, this is for everyone here. So
this guy with the hat. Look at this guy.
All this
Excellent. I love it. Fantastic.
Thank you.
show. I love the homage to Martin Scorsese, best fucking going through the kitchen. Fantastic.
Thanks.
Because he's a winner. You're trying to bring all the winners.
Gotta show one of the best winners. Right, that was just a compliment. That was awesome. Let's do that. More of those. Only do that as a compliment. No questions. Only compliments.
Compliments in the form of a question are also
exactly.
okay.
We'll take that.
I do have many compliments, but I will ask the question.
Okay, fine. It's okay.
Of course, you guys have a stacked cast. There's Chase Whelan, there's Catherine Hahn, Catherine O'Hara. How did you choose who to make a cameo and then who to make a character? What was that process like for you?
O'Hara was
For the main cast, yeah, we knew again pretty early on we were going to shoot the show this way, so like we talked a lot about like assembling a tight band, like assembling a group of people that like we knew could do this type of comedy well, which is hard, and again, because we're not relying on editing for the timing and all that stuff, like it had to be people who were like on their fucking game basically, and that was really it. We were like O'Hara and Hahn, and like it was like the dream list.
And Chase was the only one who to us was a minor gamble in that we didn't know a lot about her, and she just killed it like right out of the gate.
she like fit in instantly, and she's a huge comedy fan. And what's funny is like out of all the cameos on the whole show throughout the whole season, the person she was most excited by was Nick Stoller, like because she wrote for the Harvard Lampoon, and she's like, "You guys got Nick Stoller on the show? Oh shit!" Like, and we were like, "That's the nerdiest thing you could ever say." But yeah, but that was really it. Is like we knew the core cast had to be like really comedy all-stars who could, you know, deliver this type of thing and who would be excited by doing this type of thing. And that was really key, was like they all were super into like the filming style.
Yeah, and we almost never had someone who couldn't roll really well with the improv nature of it, hitting their marks and all that. But when it happened, it was bad.
Yeah, it was
It
catastrophic.
was a serious,
Yeah.
catastrophic problem. Everything ground to a halt.
Yeah.
And then we just had to like figure out how to work around this one person who couldn't nail it.
Yeah.
But the Marty, just to go back to him, that one's fun because when the guys wrote the script, they knew that they knew about this Kool-Aid joke, and so we needed this idea of who could be the like a really important director that would make that play, and so you start with him, and you're like, well, you're never gonna get him, and then we started talking, and he read the script and he really wanted to do it, and so he said yes, and then very quickly Seth emails Charlize and said, will you come and say one line? But it will be with Marty, and she says yes. And so that saved our ass, because I think that we said to Marty when we said, do you want to come to the show, that Charlize was already in.
Oh yeah. We did that a lot. So I did a lot of like parent trapping people.
So there was definitely Marty come for Charlize.
Charlize come for Marty. Yeah, that happened a lot.
But then I remember, and then after that, we were kind of looking at each other, going, well, what if you could get Buscemi? Because he wasn't ever really scripted. We were like, okay, well,
We were like, that's the best joke. You're walking out, he's there. Like that's like worst case scenario. Worst case scenario.
Worst case scenario. And so we called, and initially he was like, well, what's the joke? And it was like, well, you're the star of the movie, and
the studio thinks that you're the worst idea ever to be in the movie.
So we let that land, and my phone didn't ring back exactly right away. But they were like, but we got Marty, and they're like, okay. And so Buscemi flew from New Zealand, stopped in LA for one day to shoot that scene, and then went on to New York. So it's like you had a little bit of that alchemy where you're just like, wow, there's something.
The timing was miraculous at times. Yeah, that people were able to do it, and that our lies didn't step on one another at any point.
Thank you.
I can really relate in terms of putting this event together. So we need one piece to stack the other pieces, and the other pieces.
Oh, yeah. You just got to start saying that it's happening at some point. Or
Exactly.
In the back.
You guys can yell the question, maybe we can repeat it.
Okay, what was the hardest part of the film coordinator or the show coordinating all the different actors when they're like in the same schedule?
Was the hardest part coordinating the actors and their schedules? It was one of the harder parts, probably. Yeah, and making sure it was like, and again, hopefully you'll see if you keep watching the show, like, we really painted ourselves into corners as far as not only needing to get like very famous people, but very specific types of people for very specific episodes. Like, it couldn't just be a famous director. It had to be like a director who directs this type of movie, basically. And it can't just be this type of actor. It has to be an actor who also directs movies, for example, something that happens later. So it was really hard because often there was like 3 people on the planet that could fill these roles, and if one of them, there's an episode later where it's like a director of a horror franchise that has a gimmick that is recognizable enough that we could be stealing that gimmick and put it in another movie. And so basically, like, the guy who did Smile was essentially the only guy. And thank God we got Parker Finn, the guy who did Smile, to play himself in this episode. But if he said no, we would have been completely fucked. Because, like, the whole joke is ours is called Wink, and it's like Smile, but it's not. And we're trying to get him to do it. But, like, if he didn't say yes, like,
The guy from Megan was shooting.
the guy from Megan, we were like, is there a doll thing? Yeah, is there like another doll joke? But, like, there was literally 2 people on the planet who could fill that role specifically. And so, yes, it was the hardest thing.
Standing in the back.
I was just wondering a little bit, if you give us a little more info about pre-production and any hurdles you have.
Pre-production and any hurdles. What was hard is for some of the locations, we did not have a lot of access to them, very close to shooting of them. And the second episode is called The Oneer, and the whole episode is one shot in this house, basically. And the joke is we're visiting the set to see them shoot a Oneer, and the whole episode is a Oneer, and there's a Oneer within the Oneer. And so the choreography of it was mind-boggling at times, and we had access. We scouted the house, but we only had access to it like the day before shooting, basically, for like the first time, really. And so it was things like that where we would really have to And like the Golden Globes episode
the
was
Golden
very,
the Golden Globes episode, because I think this is a television show. You come in and there's an expectation of what a television show can and can't do in terms of time and resources and all those things. And we had the first meeting on the Golden Globes episode was like, well, we could go to like this hotel or that hotel and recreate it, and they looked at me and they're like, we're not doing that. We're going to Beverly Hills.
We're like, it has to be in the room where the Golden Globes are. Like the whole thing doesn't work in our heads if it's not. It was like written for that room, like it was so specifically had to be there, and which posed a huge logistical problem.
Because the Beverly Hilton is under construction, and so it's like, they're under construction during the 1 week that we can get Zoe Kravitz to show up, who's like sort of the lead of the episode, and then you start going down.
And then we had 5 days total there, and one day they had to build the Golden Globes, which usually takes 2 weeks, and we did it in 1 day, and so we had to shoot the whole episode in 4 days, which is very hard, and so it was things like that.
And that was the only episode where we had hundreds of people. So instead of 16 or 20 takes, we had 6.
Exactly, because there was such a finite, you had to clear all the background out and let them back in, and so it was just everything took so much longer than we were used to it taking, basically. And on top of that, that episode alone has like a dozen very famous people in it, because we had to make it feel like the Golden Globes for real. So there's presenters and there's winners, and Rami Youssef is hosting the Golden Globes. We got to write him a whole monologue, and like we got to write.
He helped write the writing.
He did, but there was a moment where like we're actually this is as hard to put on as the actual Golden Globes, and we're shooting a whole television episode at the same time, and so those types of things. The last 2 episodes are in Vegas, and we essentially didn't plan them, like, we prepped them a little bit, but we basically showed up in Vegas, and we're like, how are we going to do this? Yeah.
And it kept being like, this scene, we have 36 minutes before the craps tables have to open.
Exactly, and this scene, because it's 130 degrees outside, you can only shoot between like 7 p.m. and 7:45 p.m., and it's a 4-page scene in a water fountain, and so like, stuff like that kept happening, and there were so many moments where we were looking at each other just like, this might not happen. Like
to talk about your cameo question in the Golden Globes episode, one of my favorite things was that Quinta Brunson, she's in it. She came to do her 2 lines or 1 line. I mean, again, these people were so amazing. And then she went to like a real award show afterwards, just all clammed up. But then somewhere, I think in prep, I can't remember, but Seth came up to me and Evan was like, I'm gonna get Ted Sarandos in the show as himself. I'm like, Seth, this is an Apple show, not a Netflix show. He's like, I'm gonna get Ted Sarandos. So he emails Ted Sarandos, and Ted's like, I can come, but I can't come during the 5 fucking days that we have the Beverly Hilton. So then we have to go build the bathroom at the Beverly Hilton, somewhere
and
else.
for all the seats, and around this much of the Golden Globes, like in the corner of another location that we're shooting in, basically. But Ted Sarandos is in this show.
and he's done press for the show.
Yes.
Interviews,
Are there places where camera or lighting changed or modified or enhanced some of the creative decisions that you were making? And then on top of that, where would you encourage your visual team to come to you with those ideas, and then where would you discourage them and be like, nah, we're good?
Well, I would say in general, like never on any set we've been on has everyone been more empowered to speak up, because there's one camera shooting one image, and if we don't get that one image, everything is ruined.
Yeah, and that was actually one of like the idea, like aside from the creative reasons to shoot the show the way we did, we loved the procedural side of it, and we loved that in every take, everyone was doing their job every time. And because of that, there was never a moment where everyone was not like locked into what was happening. And normally when you're shooting something, it's like you get into this rhythm where it's like, I'm sitting on the Apple box, sort of half doing my lines, and then they're sitting on their Apple box, and the whole crew's on their phone, and it's like, you're sort of, the camera's just not moving, and it's sitting there, and we're just getting the shot of the, like this show has no insert shots, it has no establishing shots, like, and that was all by design, because we just don't like shooting them. And
it also it gets people like oddly passionate too. Like if we think we have it and Adam doesn't, Adam's like, you're fucking wrong.
Yeah,
we
exactly.
don't have it.
Yeah,
we have to go.
We have to try more. And so early, so we would always tell the crew, like, tell us anything, like anyone, like if anyone thinks anything could be better, please tell us. Worst comes to worst, we're just like too late.
Yeah, and people were reserved. No one went nuts and started calling cut all the time. But every single person, it's like the props master several times was like, I think you're wrong. I think you should do this again because of that and this and that.
Yeah,
and it made it so fun.
You made it really fun because it made it actually feel like a group of people like making a thing together all the time, and everyone had a real voice, and people would be like, that take was good, but the smoke on 2 takes ago was better. So if you're able to give that performance, but we can do the thing with the smoke that we did 2 takes ago, then that'll make like a really good take. And like we'd have like the effects guys being like, oh, we found a new way to like make this light do this thing. So if we can do that on this take, then it'll really come together, And it was amazing to have everyone do that. And yeah, like the camera was, like again, because it's one lens, we really had to, that was a thing that made us make some very tricky creative decisions of how to deal with things in the distance. The Golden Globes episode, for example, there's a lot of like interaction between me sitting in the audience and the things happening on the stage. But the people on the stage were very small, and to get a close-up was impossible, so we very early on had the idea of like surrounding, like the Golden Globes has, with these big monitors and using the live cameras to get close-ups of the actors that you could like see over my shoulder basically. So even though with our movie cameras, the people's heads would be this big, in the shot it would look like my head is big in the frame and their head is big in the frame. So it really forced us to really consider things like that.
And there was also some times where our camera operator Mark would just run very, very, very quickly from the stage to set.
From the stage, up the stairs, backwards. There's a lot of visual effects actually like removing ramps and shit like that. Like there's a lot of like ramps on staircases that were taken out and things like that. Like there is trickery in that aspect of the filmmaking, just covering rigging and stuff like that as well, yeah.
You feel that love of all the departments, like when you watch it.
Yeah, they crushed it, and they're all so proud of the show. It was really like everyone on set all day, every day was like, you can see how engaged they were, which was, I'm sure people know, like not how a lot of sets feel. You feel like you're waiting to do your job for 10 hours and then doing it for 30 minutes often. But this was like, every take was like all hands on deck, And again, like anything could ruin the take. And so that was also, people were very, if this light didn't switch on at the right time, if the the phone didn't ring at the right time, if the background person didn't cross at the right time, if like I tried to get my jacket on, but the sleeve got caught because it wasn't set the exact right way, like any one of those things could ruin like 6 pages of stuff preceding it. And so it really created like, a hyper-focused atmosphere.
I find in the camera department, when there are more rules set, the results are often better, and everyone's just more into it and can figure out what's going on and how to create in that space, more so than seeing the limitations of it.
Yeah, we had a very, that's what was funny, is like every scene we knew essentially how we were going to shoot it. It was a 21 millimeter lens, and it was one shot. And so like, it was funny coming into work every day. Often we did 2 scenes a day, and the joke was like, Abby's up first thing in the morning because we were only doing 2 shots. And so it really, in some ways, it was as limiting as it was, it forced us to become very innovative with how we approached it,
Okay, we got time for 2 more.
This guy.
Yeah, that was fucking hilarious, so thank you.
Thank you.
Had you guys worked with Adam before? I love his work, so I was just curious what kind of attracted you guys to, making him your DP for the show and telling the story with you guys.
So we met with several people. He was one of the first people, and he sent an 87-page novella, is how I would describe it.
Yeah, it was like a lookbook.
It was the craziest thing anyone had ever given me for a job of any nature ever. It was the most like detailed, like scene by scene through everything we discussed with 100 ideas. Like it was, I keep it and I look at it every now and then. Just to think about what a fucking genius.
It really was amazing. Like he had shot the pilot for The Bear, which I thought was great and looked amazing, and really had like such a distinct, specific style to it. And he had shot a lot of music videos that were also one shot that I was a big fan of. And yeah, honestly, it was like this lookbook just really won us over. Like,
He met with us, we talked, and then he sent the lookbook, and the amount of thought he put into it was just.
It was like astounding, yeah. And like I remember after we read it, being like how do you not hire this fucking guy? Like he's figured it all. Like
we went on to meet with numerous very impressive people, but we were just like
we kept coming back to the lookbook, and then coincidentally, my friend Aziz Ansari was directing a movie that happened to be shooting right before our show, and he's like, you know of any good DPs? And I'm like, I just hired this guy out of Newport Bear, and then he hired Adam to do his movie, and so I did a movie with him right before we did this show, which was great because we were able to talk about the show the whole time and sort of, hone in on the style even more. And then what's funny is I'm literally going to start shooting another movie in a few weeks that he's also shooting because the director of it watched our show and was like, who the fuck shot that? I'm like, Adam Newport Barra. And they're like, I'm going to hire this guy. And so now I only work with Adam Newport Barra.
Your personal.
Yeah, he's my personal cinematographer. It's like old Hollywood. Barbara Streisand had that too. He doesn't even make me look that good.
That's on you, though. For anyone out there not familiar with Adam's work, he's incredible. He shot Don't Blink. He shot an episode of Euphoria that's incredible. He shot The Last Black Man in San Francisco.
He shot the Kendrick Lamar Super Bowl halftime show.
Oh, and Count Me Out. Count Me Out is a good one.
Yeah, he's done, I think The Last Black Man in San Francisco. He's done a lot of great stuff. And he's a great guy. And he's, again, like so passionate and so vocal. And we would actually have like the AD coming up to us being like, is it okay that the DP is like this involved in like the process? Like we were like, yes, it's great, don't stop it, like don't let it roll, like because it was a real collaboration.
Like, it got to a very funny, concise place where I'd be like, we're good, cut. And he'd be like, no, more.
Yeah.
I'd be like, if Adam wants one, he gets one.
Like, if you guys want it to fucking suck, we should stop now. Like he would come over like so angry. He's like, what? We're moving on? No, we're not moving on.
And we would always say, like, if you're that passionate, we'll go.
Yeah, we'll always keep going. Yeah, we'll keep it going. But
it was crazy impressive. It's just so much fun to watch and like hitting all that timing is just like.
Oh yeah, the timing. Our first AD, Donald Murphy, was like the timing was. It just like it was incredible how many things he was working out and how you would see just like.
And with him, Adam, and us, Mark, like it was funny because you would be hooked into the machine at the start of the day, and then at the end of the day, you'd be like, "That was so fun." I'm fucking exhausted.
Yeah, I was very exhausted.
It just was like so draining because once you were linked in, you couldn't link out.
And it was like often shoot, and again, a part of it is I shoot a lot of stuff, and shooting it can be boring. You know what I mean? Like it can be boring to be on set all day, and this was never boring, and that was something we were always like marveling at as it was happening. It was just like the momentum and the energy was constant, and like. Never felt like we were like ticking things off a list. Like always felt like we were like aiming for this crazy tiny bullseye, and then we would hit it, and the whole crew would watch it. And we'd be like, people would be fucking cheering. Like it was like an incredible energy, you know?
Yeah, and like right when it might have got boring and slowed down in some way, and we would like settle into it. We went to Vegas where everything was
just insane.
Yeah, we lived in the casino while we filmed in the casino. We didn't leave the casino more than once for 11 days.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a nightmare.
And it was this process is applied to like an open Las Vegas casino with like 1,000 drunk people like who are going to see the Grateful Dead at the Sphere, like milling through the shot, and we were just like, this is fucking crazy.
Wait, one more thing on Adam is he also had his daughter like week 3 of filming and came back.
Yeah, so his wife and tiny baby were on set. A lot of the time we were doing the show, there was literally like a 3-week-old child on set.
Okay, last one. Who's got one? Colin.
You go. Oh, sure. Oh, that was on your behalf.
Whoa, a double, yeah.
So seemingly as a love letter to movie making in Los Angeles and knowing you guys have been collaborators for so long, I was wondering if you've been wanting to make this project for a long time, or is there a reason why you're making it right now?
It kind of came together more quickly than most of our projects, and it was that we really wanted to make something in LA. Like that was our starting point. We just wanted to do something here, and then we always tend to make things that line line up with the age that Seth is when we are making some of the
Exactly.
Seth
In our
forward.
20s, yeah, I played a 20-year-old guy. Yeah, exactly. Our protagonists are limited by my age.
Well, we can fuck with people's age now. We can
Yeah,
mess
exactly.
around.
Yeah.
We'll do some
I'm playing a
gut
12-year-old in the
sense
next
stuff.
movie we do. Yeah.
But and we mostly have done well doing things that are pulled from our experience, and we were talking about what we've been doing in our lives lately. And the answer has been running our production company, which is kind of like a little studio where we are these creatives who are also the bad guy bosses at times, even though it sucks and we're balancing all this shit. And then Seth had the idea, what if I was a studio head?
Yeah, and basically, like, the Larry Sanders Show was something we were always, like, huge fans of when we were young. I always remember me and Evan, we met in bar mitzvah class when we were 12. So
Just like the rest of you.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember being at, like, a high school, like, a party in, like, 10th grade, and it's, like, the parents are out of town, and there's, like, a raging party, like, on the main floor of the house, and me and Evan were, like, in the parents' bedroom watching the Larry Sanders Show together, and we loved it, and that was always really inspirational to us. And yeah, this idea to do a show that was sort of like our version of the Larry Sanders Show, which to us was like a definitive, like, Hollywood show for its time, and that's what we really set out to do. We were like, it'd be interesting if we could take all of our experiences, and we're some of the few people that I think also because of how many jobs we have within the industry, the fact that we write, produce, and direct, and I act as well, you know, I think it gives us like a pretty unique insight into every various step of the process. And so, yeah, the idea of like, what if we could roll all that experience kind of into one thing, basically, yeah.
And also the fact that it keeps happening.
Yeah.
Like between this season and the next one, the things that will happen to us
I mean, it's
are
crazy.
so weird and silly, and there's going to be a lot of them, and it all just keeps coming.
No, every day something happens. We're like, that could be in the show, and that's
And
what
from 11:30 to 12:30 today, we had a call. You
Yes,
were
yeah,
fucking weird.
it was wild. Yeah, it was a whole episode. Yeah.
Okay, well.
You made a good show.
Thank you, everybody.